This morning at Aaron Bailey Park, a Negro man reportedly in his 30s was found shot. And according to eyewitnesses, he died. On Saturday, two brothers is alleged to have got into a dispute. One struck the other brother. Both were in a car. Brother who was driving, it is reported to have stopped the car and jumped out. But the older brother took over the wheel, and when it was all over, it is alleged that the older brother knocked him down and killed him. And then yesterday, if I have it correctly, was Father's Day. A Negro man showed up at one of the wings of the many airports in the western part of the island. And when it was over, he, it is reported, was shot. His name is Geo Bo Roll. He is the nephew of Mrs. Diane Bo Pinling. So that is a sad story, and that is how we celebrated Father's Day. The time has come for the police to set up a domestic violence unit that will deal with the issue of men and women who are unfaithful in marriages. I continue to tell this country it is so important that we are faithful in whatever relationships we are involved in. And of course, while the police have been keeping counts of those who are being murdered, I've been keeping counts of those who have been murdered due to unfaithfulness, due to scheming. I wanted to stop. I call on men to control their anger, and I call on women to be obedient, submissive, and stop keeping sweetheart. This is a fair march. God save the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. God save the King. Welcome back to Freedom March. My name is Rodney Monker. I'm a Justice of the Peace here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I'm also a member of the local Catholic Christian community. Today is Monday, the 17th day of June in the year of our Lord 2024. I welcome each and every one of you who is joining me. And for those of you who I didn't or I was unable to salute, listen, Happy Father's Day, though it may be belated. And of course, the nation, along with the world, celebrated Father's Day. But Father's Day here in the Bahamas was very, very tragic. And of course, there's been some shooting that took place that I'm going to have to take you back to show you that some of these shootings are historical. Some of these gunmen, their grandfathers, they were good gunmen. I will tell you the story of a Negro lad who had little color and curly hair. He hailed from the Farrington Road area, from the Fort Charlotte area, from the Rock Crusher area. His name was Prince Newbold. We call him Hombre. And many years ago, this would have been between 1974 and perhaps 1979. Hombre, along with two other Negro men, went on Carmichael Road. Perhaps it was Blue Hill Road, opposite Carmichael Road. There they attempted to rob a food store, and unbeknown to them, they did not know that the owner was also very armed, and when it was all over, Hombre was shot in the food store. And those of us who knew Hombre, Prince Newbold, we were shocked, we were devastated when the police took off the mask, and laying in the food store was a man whom we have known from many of us went to perhaps Oaksville Primary, and then John F. Kennedy, and then C.C. Sweeting, and then we left school, but Hombre went off. Prince Newbold, he was brown-skinned with curly hair and some of the most gorgeous looking sisters, but they blew his head off. And of course, his funeral services was attended, and it was held at the AME Zion, Shaw AME Zion Church. It was the African Methodist Church, which is located today at the corner of Peter Street and Blue Hill Road. I give you that story because in the context of me talking about some of the shooting, I'm going to be making reference to a shooting, and I just want people to know that the man who is accused of the murder, he comes from a line of men who will have no fear in shooting. There are two things they will not tolerate. They will not tolerate you entering their business and stealing their money. They will not tolerate you stealing their goods. They will not tolerate you in interfering with their animals. And they do believe that thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his ox, nor his ass, for they will shoot you dead. I just thought as I sat here in studio that it dawned on me, this is what we are faced with. Historic shooting. My spiritual advisor is Bradley Roll, and if I go off today, please forgive me. Bradley Roll, welcome to Freedom March.
Thank you so much, Senator.
I'm certain this must have been a sad Father's Day for you.
Yeah, it was.
Your father is deceased?
Yes, reflecting on my father. All weekend, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
All weekend.
And of course, how did you celebrate it?
Well, what I did, was I reflected on him and his wise counsel,
Okay.
as always. For I too was caught up in a love triangle.
Really?
Yeah.
This was not a married woman, though.
Well,
Please do
I
not
was the
comment.
married man. I had a wife,
Okay.
but then we had an intruder.
You had an intruder. Did you
Yeah.
get your gun?
No, I listened to the wise counsel of my father,
Okay.
who was very concerned about me and what I was going through at the time.
Yeah.
But he said something to me that speaks from his grave.
What did he say?
My father said to me, listen here, son, remember this. You don't have no control over another person's mind.
Oh, hallelujah.
When he said that to me, it was tough, but it hit me like a ton of bricks because there's a lot of truth in that. For no matter how much we may love people, do things for them, cherish them, try to do the best for them, they still have a mind of their own. And there are times they can do things or act in a way or behave in a way that may be contrary to what we expect of them. But what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you
It's
do?
a $1 million question.
Well,
What
I
do you
have a
do?
friend. I shall call him Jeremiah. I will call his wife Susie May. When he discovered that Susie May was keeping sweetheart, he was overwhelmed. And as he hollered, I shed tears. When he turned to me and he said, Brother Monica, I don't mind Susie May keeping sweetheart as long as she doesn't leave me. And then I began to weep because I have a soft heart. So these are some of the things that are happening in our country.
Yeah.
No pun, no joke intended. But I call on women to a day of submission. Blessed is the woman who continue to submit to her husband even in the midst of his infidelity. And if she discover that she cannot tolerate his infidelity, she must go to the nearest court and demand a bill of divorce. And this is powerful. God save the king. My spiritual advisor,
Yeah.
what do you have to tell the
Well,
nation?
I had some encouraging words today, Sandra.
Go ahead.
You know, for most of us who don't recognize that we're controlled by forces, it's either positive or negative. And you have that passage from me, Mr. Producer, in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, 19 to 21. I'm going to list some sins here that all of us are familiar with, and then some of us have been caught up in for a bit, I should say. Some of us have released those things, and we've moved on. And the version I wanted was the New King James Version. You put up the NIV. I wanted the New King James Version. I'm so sorry, but you can leave that because it's going to take time to... You see what I put into the phone? Yeah, it's the New King James Version, but let's go ahead anyhow. The Acts, that's Galatians chapter 5, 19 to 21. I'm going to read a list of sins here. The acts, or the act of the flesh. Now the works of the flesh are evident. I'm reading this from the New King James Version. And they are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, revelries, and the like, of which I tell you beforehand, just as I also tell you in time past, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. I'm going to read this again. Let me read this again. The acts, now the works of the flesh are evident, which are adultery, we're all familiar with that, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, revelries, wild parties, lewdness, all this stuff, and the like, of which I tell you beforehand, just as I told you in times past, listen now, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. Galatians chapter 5, 19 to 21. We are all caught up in those same sins there at one point in our lives. And for some of us, we've repented from them and left them behind. And then there's still some who practice these things. But if you do practice these things, you got to cease and desist, because those who do will not inherit the kingdom of God. I read from the New King James Version. The word of God is always and forever blessed. Amen. Thank you so much, producer. Back to you, Santa.
I thank you, my spiritual advisor.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, Father's Day has come and gone, and I'm citing around the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, thousands of citizens give thanks to God and would have demonstrated to their father their love and appreciation for the man who showed them and who set the proper example and who fathered them, perhaps not only biologically, but in terms of the economic care and the emotional assistance for them. So once again, I must salute those people who give thanks to God and who saluted their parents and who celebrated. I attended on Saturday what I call a pre-Valentine's Day event. And I was blessed to have been extended a wonderful invitation by the Fox Foundation, who was honoring men, but special men, men who are fathers and men who have made a wonderful contribution to the development not only of their families, but to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So it was great. It was held at the where's that on Paradise Island? Help me.
Which hotel is that?
The
Atlantis?
At the Atlantis at Paradise Island. So it was wonderful. And there were many excitement. Among some of the excitement that I enjoyed was some of the people who were honored happens to have attended, not necessarily the year that I went to CC Sweeting, save that of one who was a junior to me, but at least 4 of the honorees were students of the CC Sweeting Senior High School. So I took pride, as I took mental note, that among them was the Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernanda, who is a former student of CC Sweeting, the Commodore of the Defense Force, that would be Dr. Raymond King. There was the mathematician and the accountant, Dr. Jeffrey Kerr, who would have been at CC Sweeting during a period that I was there, but he would have been junior to me. And then, of course, there was another distinguished banker who also attended CC Sweeting, and that would be Raymond Winder. So I was able to identify, took special note of that there were at least 4 former students of CC Sweeting who received this prestigious honor. I want those who attended and also received it, don't be jealous. I am merely looking at the achievement of former students of a school when it opened in 1971. George Wilson, a former teacher at that school, told us that we were Bahamian rejects, that we were the students whom the government could not figure out what to do with us, so they put us in that big doll house. And the good thing about it is when George Wilson told us that we were rejects, we didn't know what that big word meant. But those of us who heard him, we remembered, and we were on our way to science. And we had a Caribbean Indian who was our science teacher, and we asked him, what is the meaning of reject? He said, well, I'll show it to you in a minute. And he took out a cigarette out of a Camel pack. He lit it, and he took a big puff in the classroom, and he said, this here is a pack of cigarette, but it's now empty, so watch what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to throw it in the garbage bin. I'm going to reject it. And then for the first time, we knew what reject meant. You may not believe it. I then moved immediately to close down C.C. Sweeting. And George Wilson was compelled to meet with the class and to have a good talk with us. There were the days when he was among the professors who came to school in the best car. He drove the best car, he wore the best suit, he wore the best shoes, and we always thought that he was in fact a policeman. We always thought that he was a detective. And so there were many myths and rumors that he was associated with law enforcement. So I give you that story to say, when I now look at how C.C. Sweeting has progressed over the last 50 years, it's powerful. I'll talk some more when I come back, before I get into crime. God save the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. God save the King. It's a wonderful day. But of course, the domestic violence, we need a special unit to stop sweethearting. I'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Freedom March. My name is Rodney Monker. Bradley Roll is my spiritual advisor. And when we conclude that first version of the show, I was telling you about the blessing of attending the Fox Foundation, where it honored distinguished fathers in our country. It was under the patronage of Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis. And of course, among the honored guests was Mr. Wayne A. Jones. And then, of course, there was Mr. Adrian Fox, who is the founder of the Fox Foundation. And then, of course, businessman, His Excellency Sabats Bastian. Then the Minister of Housing, Keith Bell, he was honored and he gave a very powerful speech. And then, of course, Bernard K. Barnaby Jr., who's just recently retired as a Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police, he was honored. And then, of course, there was Kovon Bow. Kovon Bow is a banker by profession. And then there is Anton Brook, and the president of Bahama, Graham Davis. And then I told you earlier that the Commissioner of Police, Clayton Fernanda, he was honored. And then, of course, Dr. Delton Fernanda, who is the president of the Bahamas Christian Council, and gave one of the greatest speeches I've heard in terms of motivating men and particularly fathers. It was a wonderful speech. And then, of course, I told you about Dr. Raymond King, who is in charge of the Bahamas Defense Force. And then, of course, there was Leslie Miller, businessman Leslie Miller, who's a former parliamentarian, and then a chef who has strong roots in Abaco, that's Chef Ian Mills, and then, of course, Jimmy Moscow, who is known for the charitable work that he has been doing among young people. And then, of course, we had the leader of the opposition, that's Michael Pintard. Michael Pintard was present. And then, of course, there was Anthony Pratt and Dr. Robin Roberts, what is the opposite of gynecologist, my spiritual advisor? He is the neurologist. And then, of course, Robert Sands from Bahama, he was ordered. And then one of the major, I don't know how best to describe him, but he's like one of the chief accountants. That's not saying it good. He will understand that the title I wish to give him is very big. But Dirk Simmons, he's like the controller. CFO.
Yeah.
Thank you, my spiritual advisor. What's CFO stand for?
He's the Chief Financial Officer.
He's the Chief Financial Officer. And then, of course, there was Felix Stubbs. It was very revealing because I didn't know that Felix Stubbs was married to one of the judges of the Supreme Court. So that was a very interesting development. And then, of course, the minister responsible for work, Clay Sweeting, he was honored and he gave a wonderful speech as he talked about some of the medical challenges involving his son. And then, of course, there was the pastor, the Reverend Raymond Wells. He was honored. And then, of course, we had Renwood Wells. Renwood Wells was honored. And then we had, of course, Wynon, help me out with that pronunciation there.
Gregory.
Wynon Gregory.
Boy Wilkinson.
Boy Wilkinson, he was honored. But of course, my cousin, Perry Gladstone Christie, who was accompanied to this event by his son. He received like a life award. I'm not describing it correctly, but whatever the honors were, my family, my cousin, Perry Christie got the highest. It was great. I was so proud when I was surprised when he was announced and he received such a big award. There were some histories that were made, and it dawned on me that notwithstanding that a man, a businessman, I was blessed, came to my table and hailed the people that I was honored to be sitting with, and then he hailed me. History was made, and I think I'm going to keep the history, because something took place at that event, and not since perhaps about 50 years ago has that powerful expression took place at a local event. I will merely I will just merely tell you what took place, but I shall not give you the historical significance. And I'm not telling it to you because I don't want people to know how smart I am. So that's why I will hide it, and I'm certain that those who perhaps would want me to reveal it would understand. I knew that Prime Minister Philip Davis could dance, but man, I didn't know he could sing. And he sang one of Frank Sinatra's greatest hit. And notwithstanding that I was, I sang from where I was. It was a beautiful song. So it's great, and I think it would have been good if the nation could see the Prime Minister singing that song, Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. So it was a wonderful event. And notwithstanding that I've not had a good appetite in recent days, I'm happy that I attended. It's like if the organizers knew that that was the meal that I would eat. I'm not sure what I ate. I did ask a senior guest every now and then when I chew on something, what am I eating? But it was great. Man, it was great. It was great. And if I was not sick, I really would have said to the waiter, give me a plate to carry to Black Village. But I decided under those conditions, I'm going to be comfortable. But it was beautiful. So I had a wonderful time at Atlantis. The staff was very kind and very professional. So it's a wonderful thing that the Fox Foundation did. And so I salute all of the men, but I particularly salute those men who went to the school that I opened along with others in 1971. And I think at the time that I went there early, Raymond Winder, he was there when I went there. And of course, I told you Jeffrey Kerr. And then years later, Clayton Fernando and Dr. Raymond King. So C.C. Sweeting did a wonderful job. So it's powerful. Well, having given you that story, I'll ask my spiritual advisor to read an ad, and then we'll look at some of the local happenings over the weekend.
Absolutely. This is some ads. The Work Center, located Rosetta Street across from Roberts Furniture, is your one-stop shop for back-to-school Dickies, Timberlands, and many more. Come on down and let our friendly staff assist you with getting ready for back to school. work channel.
That's it.
Everybody needs money, always. So send money internationally and locally through Western Union with MoneyMax. Download the MoneyMax app today and send cash instantly to a family member or friend, anytime, anywhere. Sending money has never been more simpler. The app is available on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. MoneyMax. Live your max life. All right. Back to you, Sandra.
I thank you, my spiritual advisor. So let's talk about some of the sad things that happened over the weekend. So we learned that there was a dispute between two brothers. I would want to hope that when I heard that there were two brothers, that it meant they either had the same mother and or the same father, or both ma and pa. But there was a dispute, it is alleged, and one of the brother hit the other brother and jumped out of the car. And of course, the brother who was assaulted, it is alleged, was so upset that he knocked his younger brother down and his younger brother died. So that's a very tragic thing. And from I learned about that, the most I could think about was Cain and Abel. So, but in the case of Cain and Abel, Cain killed Abel, but Cain killed Abel. That's as much as I want to say. So that's very tragic. And then, of course, you would recall that Sunday would have been Father's Day when a young man by the name of Geo Bo Roll, he's the nephew of Diana Bo Pinley. Got the connection? Well, his uncle owns the business out there at the airport, so he's employed by his uncle. And a Negro man who it is reported to be like a pilot. He is alleged to have shot him multiple times in a domestic dispute. And of course, that man is now in police custody. So that is a very sad, sad situation that occurred on Sunday. And then today, police were notified that there was a man at the Aaron Bailey Park near the Mermaid Pool where it was alleged that he was found with gunshot wounds, and we are told that he died. So that is tragic. And then you would recall that on Friday, if I have it correctly, or was it Thursday, these things are happening so quickly. 4 Negro women, they went to the home of a man and a woman. It is reported that that's where the man's wife lived. That's the report that I've received. And they went to ask questions. And the man, it is reported, took out a gun and shot 23-year-old Megan Bethel, the mother of a child. So we're now hearing that that is a domestic matter. And I hate talking on these social issues because many of these issues are so sinful, and man by his very nature is a sinner. But there are certain rules in our culture that our young people are not being taught. I'm not trying to encourage the teaching of it, but they're not being taught. Everybody knew at least 50 years ago that wives were never questioned by the sweetheart. The sweetheart always recognized that that is the wife and the wife children. And so you avoid the sweetheart. You duck her. If you come in contact with her, you do not throw jeers after her. So, for over 50 years in our society, wives and sweethearts tolerated each other because the sweetheart knew her role. And the wife, in many instances, she knew what was going on, so she ignored it because the sweetheart showed respect. And then, of course, her husband, he knew the rule. He knew that if he was choosing a sweetheart, she should never be physically or intellectually inferior to his wife. His sweetheart should always be academically superior, economically better, so that when the wife compares herself with the sweetheart, she would not be able to say, "Look who you leave me for, eh? You leave me for an old dog." She recognized that notwithstanding the infidelity of her husband, he chose a woman with class. 50 years later, the married men, they have no class. They have not learned how to hide their sweethearts. And then we see in the society where the married women who have decided it will be tit for tat. That is what is taking place. It will be tit for tat. So what are they doing? You keeping sweetheart? I can keep sweetheart. You having children outside the marriage? Well, I'm going to bring one in the marriage. These are some of the things that are happening. And as leader of the woman there are many people who find it offensive when I told them that sweethearting is a sin. But I want women to know that while sweetheart is a sin, if there's going to be sweethearting, it is the man who should keep the sweetheart. After all, if a man has a sweetheart, he never brings the baby home. If the wife keeps sweetheart, she will end up bringing the baby home. Look what happens if you bring the wrong baby home. And that's the problem. I give you the story. I've told it to you. I spoke to you in parable. I told you about a Chinese baby. And everybody can see, notwithstanding that I have a long history of being a human being, there's no evidence of any Chinese in my family in the last 2,000 years. But that is what happens in your society when your faithfulness is challenged and when you continue to do these things. So there's been at least like about 4 murders that have taken place in this country. And the time has come for the minister responsible for national security to tell the police to stop covering up sweethearting. See, something is wrong with that. I expect that if a murder takes place in the country, and if sweethearting is the cause of it, the commissioner of police must say it. He must say, our investigation shows that had they not been keeping sweetheart, there would be no murder. That's the way it should be done, so that people will understand that 50 years after our independence, sweethearting is reckless, it is dangerous, it's deadly, and people are killing. 4 sweethearting murder that has taken place in this country. I'm not trying to get in anybody's business, but they are causing the public expense. The police got to be up and down, up and down. And we have to call on our people to stop it. All right? Because it's clear that they have not learned, like their fathers, how to manage sweethearting. And sweethearting is very powerful. It's very emotional. It's something that can cause good man sleep in policeman hand. And that has been the problem where we all know the cultural song, bad woman cause good man sleep in policeman hand. I'm not trying to condemn anyone. I merely point out that if you're not mature enough to keep a sweetheart, to manage your sweetheart, you really shouldn't. It's simple as that, and perhaps the time has come for us to strengthen legislation whereby I have a case where a woman appeared before me today after these shootings took place, and she wanted to know from me if she is divorced. So I said, well, my dear, I would know if you are divorced since I don't know you. I said, did you go to court? She said, yeah, I went to court, but they say I got to wait 3 months. Oh, I said, oh, they're giving you cooling off period. She's not divorced yet, so she's mad. And I think she's right. The judge should have signed her decree absolute, her decree nisi, her divorce paper. As soon as the judge pronounced divorce, she should sign it. There's no need for cooling off period. And I supported the woman when she said to me that she had to leave him. I said, well, why do you have to leave him? She said, all he's doing is sweethearting on her. So I felt bad for her. And she asked me what I thought. I said, listen, the most I can say is, I'm going to pray for you. And I really hope he would stop sweethearting in his next relationship. So, you know, some people might think what I'm saying is foolish, but I want you to look at it. 4 murders, 4 sweethearting murders, that's too much. And the time has come for the Commissioner of Police to tell men, tell women, if you cannot manage sweethearting, don't keep none. Simple as that. I don't keep sweetheart, okay? I'm certain I wouldn't be able to manage it, okay? So I don't keep sweetheart. Plus, as I told you, what I believe, sweethearting, notwithstanding that they've been trying to counter my arguments, anecdotal evidence will show it's not good for your prostate, okay? Why you tapping, man? Put the camera on him, right? It's not good for your prostate. And I had a couple who came to see me, and the woman said to me, my husband have a prostate problem.
You
So I
asked
said,
her, you asked him if he keeps it. Man, tell you can't do them kind of things, man. You can cause people to fight, man. So you ask woman the husband keeps it, I know.
I didn't. When she told me, I said, really? She said, yes. I said, oh my, is he seeing a doctor? She said, no.
In your mind, you already know the problem is,
Right? So I said, is he seeing a doctor? She said, no. I said, well, nobody? She said, yeah. I said, who is he seeing? She said, he's seeing his sweetheart. Ah, boy. Nothing to laugh about, folks, but sometimes you have to laugh culturally. So once again, we have had 4, and it appears that the police is not being transparent. I want a police, when they brief the media, they will tell the media, okay, we have this wrap up, sweethearting, and then we know what to do from there. Simple as that. By telling me it's sweethearting, then I'm able to relax and say, okay, crime, while crime is bad, this has to do with sweethearting. All right? It's not really a threat, save that you may have to keep out of the way of people who are involved in it, because the people them can't manage it, man. So that's what's taking place in our wonderful country. And you know, sweethearting is rampant, and it is as sweet as sweet potato bread. And I'm not trying to condemn anybody. I'm just looking at how statistically the police is hiding. And I think the time has come for there to be transparency.
But
Go ahead, Mr. Advisor.
on a very serious note, you've not...
Serious note!
Yeah, because you've taken this conversation in a different direction. But what you should be doing...
Go ahead.
...is calling for...
Well,
on the other side.
on the other side.
On the other side.
This is Freedom March. God save men and women. May men be faithful to women. May women submit. Women, go home to your husband and submit. I'll be right back after the break. Hold on, everybody. Welcome back to Freedom March. My name is Rodney Monker. Bradley Roll is my spiritual advisor. We got to do some birthdays, and then after that, the spiritual advisor will look at the socio-marital issues as it affect many relationships, and the fact that there is now an attempt to document at least 4 murders that, according to a source, is sweetheart related. Bradley?
Let's do some birthdays quickly. I think we do have a couple birthdays to do today. We want to send a special happy birthday to Elaine Woodside. Elaine Woodside is celebrating the birthday. It's coming from your family and your friends, from the VMG and the PSL family. Happy birthday to you. Also, shout out to you from the ILTV studios, from Eyewitness News, 103.5 FM The Beat, and special shout out from Madam Ace and Claire. We hope you enjoy your day as beautiful as you are. Happy birthday, Elaine Woodside. Then, of course, we want to send a Father's Day shout out to Dwayne Wallace. Dwayne Wallace, belated Father's Day shout out to you. Coming from your wife, Lanisha, your son, Tanaj, your daughters, Destiny and Denisha, your grandmother, Gertrude, and your 6 aunts and family members as well. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy belated Father's Day to you, Mr. Monica and Mr. Ro. Oh, thank you so much. All right, great. We appreciate it, okay?
What's that?
Somebody sent us a happy birthday, a happy belated Father's Day shout out to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's Dwayne Wallace. Belated Father's Day shout out to Dwayne Wallace, coming from his wife Lanisha, her son Tanaj, her daughters Destiny and Denisha. All right, just those two. Yeah, look like that's it, Santa.
Well, thank you, my spiritual
Let the
advisor.
church move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Santa, what you failed to do, as we were going to talk about the social issues that we have in the country, we need to find a way to encourage folks to resolve these matters in an amicable form, right? Rather than
How
resorting.
do you resolve a matter in an amicable manner if your wife is being unfaithful and if she brings home the wrong baby?
Well, Sandra, well, obviously, what has happened, I don't want to blame the persons who was responsible for doing the marriage training. Obviously, a lot of folks don't recognize that the marriage bed is to be kept pure. When you enter a current relationship in marriage, you must remember a part of the wedding vows is forsaking all others. And essentially what that means is that as it relates to the intimacy and the sexual contact in the bed, the only person you should really be sharing that with is your husband or your wife. But what has happened, it does seem as if that there are some couples who don't take their marriage vows seriously, and as a result of that, they get sidetracked when issues start to affect the marriage. It could be a financial issue, it could be a personality issue that may have surfaced while the marriage is now in play. They may not have seen it during the courting period, and now that it's surfaced, it get kind of difficult to deal with. They should go and seek counsel, but some folks try to deal with it on their own, and they find themselves going head in different directions. A financial situation may come up as a result of that. Tempers fly, and you get this difference in relationship and reactions as a result of this financial situation. Then you find yourself listening to other people, getting involved with friends, and yada, yada, yada. The problem is this. When you get married, it's a very serious commitment in every facet of the relationship. It's commitment. You have to commit yourself wholly and solely to one another's thoughts, feelings. You have to be considerate. The wife must understand her role. The husband must understand his role. You both must recognize that the sexual part of the relationship is shared only between the two of you. And if somebody else gets involved, then it could complicate the marriage. And then, of course, too, there are times, I don't know, for some strange reason, after being married for a few years, somebody decides that they're going to go in a different direction. And that's difficult for the other person to accept. The person who's rejected is always the one that feels it the most. Because, this person decides now, I don't know if I really want this marriage anymore, and I'm headed in another direction. That's kind of difficult for the other party to accept. Yes, you've reached a crossroad, now what do? This is where acceptance comes in. And like I tell you, my father told me, listen, when you see somebody decided they make up their mind to do something, what are you going to do about it? Because you can't control it. It's difficult You know, I've seen some photos floating around social media. It's difficult for a man to let go of a woman who belongs to him. That's his wife. It's difficult. And at times, if it gets complicated, he may decide to make some drastic decisions that's going to cost him, and that's exactly what happened. So you end up finding a permanent solution for a temporary problem. And I do believe when these marriages end up on the rocks and decisions are made to separate, and then the sad part is when you separate, people get weak and they get involved with other people, and it complicates the relationship even more. And that's why the Bible tells the Christian woman, you know, don't separate from your husband, you know. You're not supposed to separate. But if you do separate, you can't get involved with nobody else while you're separated. Because if you do, you're going to complicate the marriage even more.
Is separation the same as divorce?
No. No, separation is just you.
The legal separation. You're talking in the context of legal separation.
No. In the context of 1 Corinthians 7, Paul commands the wife not to separate from her husband. He said, listen, you stay together.
By that, does he mean not to divorce?
It could be that.
Okay.
But then there are conditions. He said, but now, if you separate, watch now. He says, if you separate from your husband, you must remain unmarried or else be reconciled. So I don't know if it's divorce. He says, you must remain unmarried or else be reconciled to your husband. So during the separation, that's what causes the problem. Somebody decides during the separation to, I don't know if they fall weak, something happens, and then you get involved with a third party, and that just blows the whole marriage situation out of control. Now, men, and Sandra, you got to recognize this. A woman is a wife to the husband. You know, it's sacred. It really is, honestly.
It's his woman.
Yeah.
It's his
woman.
woman.
That's his woman. She's sacred to him.
Yeah.
And fellas must recognize that when you decide to get involved with a married woman, that you're treading on dangerous grounds.
Yes.
You must recognize that.
Yes. In fact, it is wrong to do that.
You know, and you know, the thing is too, the woman decides after separating and she doesn't want anything to do with the husband. That's why I think, and I think you made this point a couple of times on your show, when you see a woman or man decide that they're going to separate from each other, and if there are no plans to reconcile the marriage, I think you should head to the divorce court. Although the Bible says that God hates divorce. But you must end this relationship before you decide to get into another one. Because for some strange reason, if the man in his mind says, listen, I'm not divorced from this woman, but she is seeing somebody else, it creates a massive situation in his mind.
I submit she has no right to see anybody
But it happens.
else. She has
But
no.
it happens.
I want women to listen to me, for I am your leader. You are not to leave your husband. You're not to form any other sexual relationship. Okay? You are precious. You're special. And don't mind what nobody tell you. I tell it to you because I'm 67. You belong to him. And this is powerful. So I call on women everywhere to submit. But I call on men to be faithful, okay? And lead not the woman into temptation. Go ahead, my spiritual advisor.
Yeah, so, you know, the reality is Sandra, this sweethearting business in the country is out of control. There's a lot of sweethearting going on.
But it used to be managed. What is wrong with this generation?
Manage something that's wrong, though, Sandra. What you mean by manage?
The accused.
You're not supposed to be involved in it.
Yes, but the fact, while you may not, I'll give you an example. It began to break down. Sweethearting started to break down at the back of Patelco. You may not recall because you were small.
But before Drive?
No, Patelco on Ponciana Drive,
Okay.
where a policeman, he accused his wife of keeping sweetheart, and when nobody listened to him, she didn't listen to his counsel, and the sweetheart, a very handsome man, and that was the worst part about that sweethearting, because if you met him, I met her sweetheart, he was a very handsome man with good curly hair, and the policeman killed her in Batelco Yard.
Wow.
And that was the first sign for me as a young man that I began to recognize that sweethearting was losing control and that the men who were involved no longer was properly managing it. But there was a point when sweethearting was so managed and there was a great level, this might sound contradictory, of respectability. Just the other day, I give you the story about a married man who had like an 18-year-old daughter, and she was outside of his marriage. He took wonderful care of her, and then her father died, and she stayed in the grave crying, and the lawful daughter, looking in the distance and saw the girl crying, went over to her and said, "You know him, eh?" She said, "Yeah, that's my daddy." So she said, "He's your daddy?" She said, "Yes." "And I in trouble now. I ain't got nowhere to go because it's him who used to pay my rent." And the girl went and told her mother. And her mother was a wonderful Negro Christian lady. And she said, "Bring her over here to me." And she took her newfound sister to her mother, and her mother questioned her. And she said, "You know something? My husband is a decent man. He never told me about you. And you look just like my child. Pack up your clothes. You can move in with her." And she took her husband, love child home. Every time I see that woman, I say a wonderful prayer for her, because her husband honored her, that in his death, when she discovered his love child, she moved her in. Perhaps one day I will bring the love child on TV. I'll try to convince her so that we could see how the family should work. But the young men, those who were born since 1975, they're mismanaging it. They need to stop it, or some senior person need to lecture them. I'm not trying to condone anything. I'm merely looking at what is happening. 4 murders in this country this year on the island of New Providence in close proximity, and something got to be wrong. That the Royal Bahamas Police Force, that the Central Detective Unit, that Mrs. Skippings has failed to say to the country, these murders are sweetheart related. We say they're gang. When there's a gang, we say they're gang. We say they're armed robbery. We say there's drug. But when it comes to the sweethearting, everybody cover it up. The people ain't safe. And it's time that the Commissioner of Police free up CDU to tell us the facts. All right? And I don't care who find what I'm saying uncomfortable. I'm just disturbed over the fact that you can't have 4. And one of the first one for the year, I watched the police as they held their press conference, and I was very uncomfortable that the police never acknowledged that sweethearting was the genesis behind it. And if we could either manage it or stomp it out or have some senior person to counsel these young people, perhaps 4 people would not have died. It's only my opinion. Please forgive me. I'm not trying to be unreasonable. Any more?
Yes, it's a very serious issue. This weekend was a terrible weekend, Sandra.
Yeah.
A lot of bloodshed. The one with the 2 brothers is rather disheartening, where you have family members not being able to get along. And I would say this, that if you feel as if you and a family member not getting along, there has to be a way to resolve the issue. And I think the best thing to do is just try to stay away from them until they find a way to either come to you to work with you on whatever the matter is. You know, the
Well, let's look,
situation with the two brothers was really, really
Well, let's look at what
disheartening,
one of the
you know?
newspaper, and you may not believe me, I've not read this. I've not read this, but this is very powerful. This is what one of the leading Negro media carried. Weekend killings leave 3 dead. The sister of Megan Bettle, one of 3 people killed over the weekend, said their mother had repeatedly warned the woman to stay away from a man allegedly involved in a conflict that led to her death. Megan was killed after visiting a man's residence on Winspear Road off Cowpen Road on Friday night, along with her best friend and another sibling. Police said when the woman confronted an adult man and woman in the home, the man produced a firearm and fatally shot Megan. You never approach the wife. You never. There are many men who keep sweetheart, but they're weak. Once the wife open their mouth, they deny you. They'll kill you. There are some men who keep sweetheart, they're able to manage their wife. They say, woman, now go in the house. And the woman is subservient, she's obedient, and she does it. Now, Megan's mother told her, listen, stay from that married man. Stay out of that conflict. The young people don't understand it. You have to understand, if you're keeping sweetheart, you have to hide. And even hiding could be dangerous, because we had a murder and they were hiding. They were hiding almost literally in the bushes, but the gunman found them. So you have to be very, very careful. There are times when sophisticated people, they're keeping sweetheart, you never see them in the sweetheart. They show up at point A, and the sweetheart been there for 2 hours waiting on them. They leave, and they leave the sweetheart there. Today, the sweetheart, she won't go to Milwaukee. Now, how you could go to Milwaukee? You're a well-known married man. The only way you could do that, if you held certain political influence. Everybody knows that if you see me at Milwaukee with any female who's neither related to me by blood, I am there in my capacity as leader of the woman dam. And I can give you evidence to prove that. I was at Paradise Island, and a young man, he saw me chatting with a young girl, and I looked up and I saw that he was jealous. And I said, Sonny, come. Know you not that I'm leader of the woman them? He said, Mr. Monkey, you really is leader of the woman them? I said, yeah. And then I said something that stunned him. And he backed down. I'm not going to tell it to you because it's emotional. And so I assured him, listen, I only want political influence with the woman. Because after all, sex is for young people, and I'm old. And this is powerful.
Yeah, but my final remarks on this thing about relationships going wrong, Sandra, I do believe that if you're in a marriage relationship, and let's just say, and I'm only using this as an example, that your wife decides that she's gonna, she's gonna tip out or dip out, whatever you call it.
What?
On you. Well,
be careful.
Let's just say your wife decides she's gonna tip out on you.
When you say tip out, what you mean by that?
She just there's some,
she's gonna leave?
No, but she's gonna have an affair.
That's
there's some.
That's sinful.
I've seen it happen at times, right? Where,
well, she should not do that.
On a Friday evening or Saturday,
really,
the wife tells the husband, "Listen, man, me and the girlfriends we going by the eatery, and we're gonna have a few drinks, and then I'll be home by 11.
Okay.
Whatever view. And husband, trusting her, it's fine with him. It's okay. You and your girlfriends, you're all going out. And if you were to find out later on down that that's not the case, you can't blame the third party. You have to blame your wife. All right? And I think that's where we go wrong as men. You can't go attacking. If you find out that your wife is seeing somebody else, you can't be attacking the man.
Who should you attack?
You shouldn't attack anybody. but
Be careful.
But you should approach your wife, because remember that's something she decided to do.
Okay.
And I think that's where we go wrong.
What
we
if
willing
this
to kill
man-
these fellas, right?
What if this
and
man-
Just give me a second. We willing to kill the fellas. We willing to kill these men. The woman remains alive. You're gonna end up in jail, and then what's gonna happen to the woman? You think you're gonna be able to come out of jail to deal with her? No. She lives happily ever after, while you are stuck in a cell with Bubba. All right. So we need to think this thing out carefully.
Yeah, but your ego,
And
you ignoring.
I understand all that, but the reality is,
woman
if your wife decides she's going to
It's my
stay with you,
wife.
blame her. Don't blame the man.
It's my wife. It's my woman. It's my stoogie.
I understand that, but she decides
Who
she's
she
going to
is?
do that.
It's my wife. It's my woman. It's my stoogie. Now, what you want me to do?
If
Huh?
she
My ego is threatened.
if she tips out on you, my brother, you gotta blame
No.
her. You can't blame the man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you can't blame him.
Listen,
You have to
man.
blame her.
Stay away. Okay? And woman, submit. Other than that, you're gonna have these domestic issues, and it's terrible. Can you imagine at the airport, terrorism breakout, when the pilot starts shooting in the airport? Is the airport secure? I think the Commissioner of Police should now ensure that every pilot that is entering any airport, we search them outside before they enter the airport, because I never thought about pilots coming in to create terrorism. All right?
Jealousy is something else,
Yeah.
boy, I tell you.
And I want
But,
these women to start keeping sweetheart, and I want the police to give us the truth.
And you got to warn the man too. The man
Okay.
is be keeping sweetheart too, you know what I mean? So it's not just women. Oh boy, Sandra,
Yeah.
this is something else where we
It's
need to
terrible.
find a way to help our folks settle their differences much more differently than this. This violence has to stop.
Yeah, but
has
understand
to.
the man is threatened. Do you know what it is to have a beautiful, charming woman and another man thief her from you?
Then just try to steal her back. I
but
would say you
what
try
if
to
she-
win her.
What if she come home with the wrong baby?
And I told you my theory. Well, see, my solution to that, if she brings home the wrong baby, and mark this, it has happened before.
Okay.
If you keep taking care of that baby, eventually the baby's going to start to look like you. You
My
don't believe that?
spiritual advisor,
You don't believe that?
I'm not going to have you put that on me,
yeah,
eh?
Just
I'm
keep,
older
just
than
keep
you.
taking care of that baby, and eventually that
Stop
child
that.
is going to start looking
Stop
just
that.
like you.
You're going to cost me to
That's
sin.
my solution to that one.
You're going
to stop the violence,
You're going to
eh?
cause me to sin, okay? Yeah. This has been a match. My name is Rodney Monker. Men, be faithful.
Women be
Go
faithful.
home to your wives. Wives, no matter how your husband's sweetheart, be faithful to him, okay? This is powerful. Hold on, everybody. I'll be right back. It's a wonderful day, but it's a sad day. Welcome back to Freedom March. My name is Rodney Monker. Bradley Roll is my spiritual advisor. I want to shout out a wonderful Jamaican lady who is a caretaker of Mrs. Marjorie Claire. Prudence Davison, you're doing a wonderful job, and I thank you on behalf of our family and the people of Black Village, and it is powerful. So Prudence, you may call me anytime. There are some reports that we have received that noted attorney Godfrey Propender is dead. But we were blessed to speak with Propender, who was trained in California in jurisprudence. That's American law. And Dr. Godfrey Propender has confirmed with us that he is alive, he's doing well, but he says he has glaucoma. So I only want him to know that I am in a position to register him. So if he needs to see the eye doctor, I want Pro, who once served as my attorney, I want him to know that the Health Minister, Dr. Michael Davile, has authorized me to register anyone in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to see the eye doctors. So I want folks to know that, notwithstanding that you may not have heard from Godfrey Propender, I spoke to him and I confirmed that he is alive and he's doing well. I think perhaps it's time I invite him on the show because he's a very colorful man, and of course he has been a politician. He ran for the Free National Movement, and then when Henry Boswick, Janet Boswick, Sir Arthur Folks, and Sir Orville Turnquest, when they broke with Sir Cecil Wallace Whitfield, and they joined forces with certain factions of the old UBP, they formed the BDP, and he ran in Bamboo Town for the BDP and almost beat Leander Minnis of the PLP. That's many, many years ago, so he's fine. My spiritual advisor, is it time to take calls?
Yeah, take some calls. Let's open the lines with the call-in segment. 323-7775 is the number to call. 698-0775 and 698-0776. Yes, we'll do the ad right now. The Work Center, which is located on Rosetta Street, across the road from Roberts Furniture, is your one-stop shop for back-to-school Dickies, Timberlands, and many, many more. So come on down and let our friendly staff assist you with getting ready for back to school. All right, so this is powerful. The Work Center, located on Rosetta Street, across the road from Roberts Furniture. Everybody needs money always, so send money internationally and locally through Western Union with the MoneyMax app. Download the MoneyMax app today and send cash instantly to a family member or friend anytime and anywhere. Sending money has never been simpler. The app is available on the Apple Store and Google Play Store. MoneyMax, live your max life. All right, 323-7775 is the number to call. 698-0775 and 698-0776. Call us if you want to talk to us. So, Senator, this weekend, no doubt, is a weekend that we should not forget for a long time. The violence is spiraling out of control. I like how the police force is now encouraging folks to, try to see that there's a way you can work these differences out without them escalating to the point where you either hurt somebody or take another person's life. I'm sure whatever it is, it could be worked out. I always wonder what drives the people to violence and then, of course, the murder.
Well, there are certain situations that cannot be worked out.
Right, so
And
I think everything can be worked out.
If you
in my opinion.
if a
have a call?
woman,
Okay, we have 2 calls. All right. Let's take this call. Welcome to Freedom March Call. You're live.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you all, Mr. Moncastle, advisor?
We're doing well. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. This is Shani.
Yes, we know. How are you?
Yes, sir. Okay, I would
Great.
like to just chime in on the past or that component of the conversation I was hearing. I didn't get all of it, but what I gathered to say is this, that no human being owns another human being to the place where you feel entitled that you must either take their lives. You went into a marriage on an agreement. You made a covenant between you and God and your spouse. And the most important thing is that of is mutual respect for each other. You don't own them. They are not cattle. They are not land, and they are not your property. If they don't want to be with you, you respectfully let them go. If after you have prayed and you have went for counseling and they still want to go, let them go. Nobody is worth your peace and your respect. And another thing is, a lot of this, I think you need to be educated before you take a serious vow such as marriage. No man has the right to abuse a woman, and no woman has the right to abuse a man, whether it's physically, verbally, emotionally, or mentally. Even Christ said, if any man will let him come, he don't beg nobody to stay with him. You must want to stay with him. And anytime you feel like moving away from Christ, after he's already spoken to you and warned you and tell you of the dangers of leaving him, then he lets you go. But he will continue to, pray that you return. But that's different from you and your spouse. If they want to let you go, they want to go, you let them go.
Yeah, we understand that. But Shanika, before you go, I want to remind you, when you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 7, let me just correct you on something. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, when you or I decide that we're going to get married, the man who you get married to, that's your husband. And the woman who I get married to, that's my wife. The Bible says, let every man have his own wife, and let every wife have her own husband. So don't tell me the woman ain't mine. She belongs to me.
No, she's not your property.
No. Shanika, no, don't do that.
ask her if she did you ever do African history?
She belongs to me. That's my woman.
What's her name?
She's not your woman, Shanika.
Yeah,
but Shanika, the woman is not your woman. If I get married to a woman, she ain't yours. She's mine.
No, sir. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not talking about her going out. If that woman decides she does not want to be with you anymore, you are going to hold and say that.
No. That's a decision. No, that's a decision she makes. Yes, that's a decision she makes. We understand that. But the mix-up comes in with you and what you're saying, and it's misleading people. And I have to correct you on that. Shanika, go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, read it carefully, and when you see I get married, that woman belongs to me. That's my wife.
Shanika, I want to ask you one question. May I ask her a question?
But she's my wife. Shanika, you're missing the point. No. Give me a second. No, you're missing the point, Shanika. Don't do that. See, because what you're doing is you're going to send the wrong message to the public. And I have to correct you on that. Give me a second, Shanika. When I get married, that woman belongs to me. She's off limits to every single human being except me. She's my woman. That's the reason why if she goes out of the marriage and have sex with somebody else, that's the reason why it's called adultery, because she doesn't belong to anybody else other than me. Let's correct that. All right, so let's correct that.
Like she's an animal.
No, we're not talking about that, Shanika. You went down that road. You went down that road.
Shanika?
We need to be trained when it comes to that serious covenant of marriage.
Okay,
Both ends.
All right, thank you, Shanika.
I want to ask.
Okay.
Hold on, Shanika.
Yes, sir.
Did you do African study?
No, sir.
Did you study slavery?
A little bit. I've had my classes with it.
Do you know that men who were enslaved were not animal?
No, sir.
But they
They
belong
weren't
to people.
animals.
But they belong to other people.
And do you know that your body is the temple of the Lord and you should keep it pure?
Yeah, he made my body.
And the
so
parts?
let me say this to you, Mr. Monka. The Lord is the only person who has a right to be jealous over anything that he has, because everything belongs to him. My husband didn't make me. I chose to come into a covenant with him. So he does not have the right to say, I own you. God has the right to say, I own everything. Everything.
Anyhow, Shanika,
I can pray for you. All
Yeah,
I'm going
you-
to say to you is, Shaniqua,
Yeah, you-
be careful, do not sin.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You're taking yourself now. Do well. She's misunderstanding 1 Corinthians chapter 7 completely.
You think she
Right.
said?
It doesn't sound so. And that's the wrong message we're sending.
Yeah.
When you get married, that person, that is your wife.
She may not be saved.
She's off limits to every single person except you. It's
Yeah.
the same thing when the woman gets married. That's your husband. Ain't no woman got the right to put their hand on him
Perhaps.
and drag him into bed. That's your husband.
Perhaps we have
She belongs to you
we have to
and
call
you
her.
only.
We need to call
I don't think
Shaniqua in
I don't
and
think Shanika
teach her
safe.
what it means to
Yeah.
submit.
Let's take this next call. Welcome to Freedom March call. You're live. Hello, call you there? 323-7775 is the number to call. Welcome to Freedom March call. You're live. Hello, caller, you there? All right, let's try this other call. Welcome to Freedom March call. You're live. We have some problems with the lines. 323-77.
Hello?
Yes, caller, go ahead. You're live, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon. I want to send a request to my son.
Yes?
Yeah, I can do it now?
Yes.
Okay, happy birthday to Terrence Law Sr. Coming in from his son, Terrence Jr. and Granddaddy.
This is powerful. Happy
Okay.
birthday. Yes, sir. Happy birthday to your dad.
All right, so appreciate it. He's listening to you, so either way, so I want to know when he heard it, because he's listening to you.
This is powerful. Terrence Storr.
Hey,
Happy birthday.
All right, take care. Okay.
All right.
323-7775. Welcome to Freedom March caller. You're live.
Hello?
You're live, caller. Go ahead.
Yes, can I speak with Mr. Monka, please?
Go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I want to say that Mr. Monka said that he got the authority to write your name down concerning your eyes, but I call a little while now, and somebody else called after, and he said that he could put her name on top. That's not right. I wonder if he thinks.
Listen, I think you misunderstood my assistant. Every time he hears from a senior person, he would say to them, I'm going to put your name on the...
I 80 years old.
Yeah, well, your name should go on the top. And we don't choose that. We send it to Dr. Michael Dowell.
Yes.
And he and his team will do it. But if you call me,
Yes, sir.
and you 80, I'll try to get your name on the top. And if somebody else, I'll try to get their name on the top. Don't take it personal. Dr.
Okay.
Dowell and his
Okay.
team,
No problem.
they choose it, okay?
Okay.
Now, have you sent me your name yet?
Long time.
Well, listen to me. I hope they have that on the top. And this is
Well,
powerful.
you put it there.
Yeah.
You ain't sure they put it there or they're going to put it, so that's why I'm calling you. You put it there.
Yeah, and they better listen to me because I is raw. I believe in old people, you know. This is powerful.
All right, thank you so much, caller.
Thank you.
323-7775. Welcome to Freedom March caller. You're live. Are you there, caller? Go ahead.
Yes?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Monka.
Sir.
What happened to the woman from Freeport with the generator? And she was supposed to come on? She ain't coming on no more?
No, I have to speak with Senator the Honorable Kay Smith because Kay Smith is denying that she took the generator unlawfully. So I'm going to give her an opportunity. Don't forget now, I'm an F&M and she'd been to the convention and I've been to the convention. And I had to give her a chance, you see?
All right.
Okay.
Do us a favor, please. Mr. Producer, ask the callers to please. Yeah, I know. Callers, before you call the show, whatever it is that you listen to the show with, you have to turn it down. You have to turn it down. Don't call the show with your TV's blasting or your radio's blasting, because we're gonna get this feedback, and we won't be able to understand your conversation. Okay, you have to turn your radios and TVs down first, please, before we engage you. Okay, thank you. Welcome to Freedom March Call. You're live.
Yeah, that's about me and the yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Your call is breaking up. Go ahead, caller. Start over again.
I said good afternoon about George.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to mention shortly because I've been listening and I may not a voices of experience and art that is not master. I know about relationships, and both of us know what you guys are saying is one big street. A relationship go two-way street. And if you get two-way, then you can't take off the street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you should be faithful. You should be faithful. You shouldn't sweet out on the woman.
Commit to your relationship.
And when you work hard, carry all the money home to her.
Let me ask you a few questions tonight, bro.
Go ahead.
You all us as human beings. You know that the woman. You do everything to this kid, you keep smart. You bring us to that get away. Day and day, that. But all you relationship, you do your human and thing. And everything good. But now she take herself to see the life, man, just the same way they ended with that. I didn't sit in that. Nah, you can never know anything to do. You have guns. You cheat it.
Well, you shouldn't have a gun. It's against the law. That's the first thing. And secondly, if you cannot resolve the matter, you should try your best to just end the relationship.
They're living there, double relationship, all in their body.
Listen,
I still don't
you don't
understand
want to
what
go
he's
to
saying.
jail. You don't want to be charged with a criminal offense. You don't want the police be up and down looking for you. What purpose will it suit to get yourself in trouble and then the police come looking for you? Because bad boy, what you can do when Babylon come for you?
And two wrongs don't make it right, eh? Just remember that.
I agree. But I am here, that's my name, bro. Because this is to get your situation. I agree because I agree too. That's
Look, if you're having problem,
People don't think with that anymore.
if you're having problem, go to the nearest police station and ask the officer in charge to talk with you. Take it care.
All right, take care, caller. Let's try another call. 323-7775. Welcome to Freedom March Call. You're live.
Yeah, special advisor, what's up?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, good brother, my God.
So,
Bless. Listen to me. They tell me you look sharp as a top the other night.
oh yeah, I went.
Yeah, they tell me you got on a real black tie.
I dressed up. I bathed off. I
I
put
know.
on the
You
bed
know the
suit.
fellow who took the picture with me and you at that event in November?
Yeah.
He bragged how nice you would look.
Listen to me. I was like the woman them sugar.
I know how you carry
Yeah.
on, man. You red, you know. You're not like them big red man.
Listen to
But
me.
listen to me.
It was great.
Let me tell you something about my marriage. This is my marriage I talk about. I don't know nobody else's marriage.
Okay.
December 1st will make 9 years since my wife died.
Really? I didn't know
Me
she
and my
died.
wife went out one place to sign some papers one time. She
Okay.
was alive. The people asked her what she named. Tell them that I could call her name, but that's my wife. She named Marianne Road Ferguson. I look at her, but I ain't say nothing. Then she reached home. She said, what happened to you? I said, now you can either name Marianne Ferguson or Marianne Road. You can't name Marianne Road Ferguson no more.
Yeah.
And you pick which one you want. If you want to stick with your daddy title, you can deal with it. If you want to deal, but you can't use the two. See, that is be the wrong right there. That is be the wrong starting off right there where they got these 2 and 3 different names.
Yeah.
You know, that's a disrespect. To me, that's a disrespect.
She's supposed to drop
And you
that
know,
name.
and in 2 weeks' time, she had a passport changing Marianne Ferguson.
All right.
Well,
That was the right thing
I
for her
want to
do.
give
And I
you.
honor her and I respect her for that.
Yes.
I want to
absolutely.
give you an example.
Yeah.
One of my countrymen, his name is Joe Jeff. He's Haitian. He married a close relative of a former deputy prime minister. Her name was Mary Watson.
Yeah.
When he entered the church, he was Joe Jebb. When he walked out of the church, he was Joe Watson. You
Yeah,
say
well,
that.
that's a political move. He wanted citizenship. Yeah, well, he didn't want no love. That's
Anyway,
in love.
you take good care.
Yeah.
This is powerful. Joe Jebb Watson. Well, shucks, if you're marrying a relative of the Deputy Prime Minister, you're smart if you become a Watson. Yeah.
Wait, that you.
Uh-huh.
The things he's here in life is unbelievable.
Hello, welcome to Freedom March.
Lord,
Hello?
what's that?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, boy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Advisor.
Yes, good afternoon. How are
Good
you?
afternoon, Mr. Mucker.
Good afternoon, my dear.
That's good. I usually don't agree with the spiritual advisor,
Okay.
but he is right 100%
On what?
on the topic of marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, spiritual advisor, I do believe that there are reasons for biblical separation in the marriage.
Absolutely.
For one, if a spouse is continually to have an unrepentant sin,
Oh, hallelujah.
by, sweethearting, and Mr. Manko, I really have to talk to you because I feel like sometimes you be complicit to that. That is no joking issue.
I'm complicit with what?
Sweethearting.
No.
Yeah. He's too relaxed
Yes,
about
you
it.
are.
No,
Yes, you are.
I've told people not to. You don't expect for me to beat them, eh?
No, don't be them, but guess what? That's the problem.
Don't condone it.
That's it. We condone it.
I don't.
I feel
I'm innocent.
people today, spiritual advisor, it is not a covenant. It's a contract.
Boy, that's deep.
Let them don't go their way. They don't have that fruit of the spirit of long suffering.
No.
But I feel like my husband, he is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh.
Oh, you're a good
You have
woman.
to separate from your one flesh.
Mm-hmm.
You're a
So
saved
we need to
woman.
Stop that. And I disagree. Now, only one thing I disagree with the quality before. There are people that have two last names because before they met that spouse, I have my degree in my maiden name. I have a
Yes.
lot of stuff that I've done
Yes.
in my maiden name, so people know that.
Yes.
So that is not to be seen as a disrespect.
I agree with you.
That's how I feel.
I agree with you.
Spiritual advisor, I agree with you today,
Thank you so much.
100%.
I thank you so much for your support. God
We
bless
thank
you, my
you.
friend.
You're a wonderful woman, and from what you're saying,
You take care.
you sound like you are saved. I think she's
I
saved.
am saying,
This is
I
powerful.
believe in counseling before marriage.
Amen.
Absolutely.
I believe in it, and it should be a prerequisite to marriage.
Absolutely. So you know exactly what
Thank
you're getting
you.
into?
You're a wonderful woman.
Yes.
Go
Thank you.
now and train the younger women, okay?
Absolutely.
I do.
Yeah, pass the knowledge on.
This is powerful.
Thanks so much, Carla.
That's what's lacking in the country. We need the older women
To
to
train the
start
younger women.
training the younger
Absolutely.
women in the craft of submission. How to submit to your husband.
Welcome to Freedom March. Call you live. Hello, call you there?
Good afternoon, hello.
Yes.
Say, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good
Yes,
I
afternoon,
just want
sir.
to make a quick comment.
Go ahead.
The previous caller was right on point. But there's so many different scenarios when you're dealing with what you're saying is sweethearting.
Okay.
Because you got the financial aspect.
Yes.
They got the man or the woman is not being pleased sexually.
Yes.
Right.
Okay? Unfortunately, when it's us as men, most men, when they spend money on a woman, they tend to look at her as a material, in a material way.
An
Okay.
owner. They tend to own her.
feel like they own the woman.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's wrong.
And that's very wrong.
Absolutely.
And then you have a lot of women, they're tasty.
Yeah.
They like things, things. So
Yeah.
monetary, you have money, you could get there.
Okay.
It don't take much for to spending this money.
Okay.
So there's so many different scenarios out there.
But it's still wrong.
In the younger generation I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
You know, so I just wanted to say that. I
Thank you so
enjoy your
much.
guys' show, man. I want to let
Yes,
Well,
thank you so much,
But
caller.
before you leave, I only want to give you this passing remarks. I think it's such a wonderful idea when men love women and own them. I think we should own them, we should honor them, we should take care of them, and this is powerful.
Thank you so much, caller.
Right, thank you guys.
You're welcome. All right, we're coming to the end of the show. We're
Are
so
we?
sorry.
Really?
Yeah, sorry, callers. Maybe we can discuss this tomorrow
Yeah.
at length, but we're coming to the end of the show, Sandra.
As we come to the end of the show, I call on married men to control themselves. I call on married women to be loving
Faithful.
and to submit.
Faithful.
In all things that you do, give God thanks. Love your wives, love your husbands. And to women who may be the sweetheart, remember, do not confront the wife. It's deadly. God save the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. God save the King. God save marriage. Tomorrow, if it's God's will, we shall return.